Alright, so I finally got around to doing the rear locker. I wanted to install it myself, but I didn't trust myself to do it. These GX460 diffs are a little different than other Toyota diffs. There's extra shimming, and I wasn't going to mess with it. So I went to the experts, East Coast Gear Supply. It's the only people I would trust to rebuild any of my diffs. If you need to get a hold of someone up there, call Paul. Paul Sutkevich. He's actually from Isle of Pines, for you Isle of Pines people, and he'll get you hooked up. They can do pretty much any diff and any kind of locker, limited slip, whatever you want. Super awesome to deal with and pretty quick shipping. They have a really good process, and the diff was beautiful. I've been driving around with it and it feels great. So just wanted to give them a shout out. All right, there she sits. That is the differential out of my 2019 GX460, and it's different than any other Toyota diff I've messed with because it doesn't have the big nuts here to adjust your backlash. Well, basically adjust your ring gear position. So this one is too hard to rebuild for me. You need something called a chunk spreader that actually spreads it open to put shims in it, and I am not all about that. So I should be getting in the mail from East Coast Gear Supply a rebuilt diff with a ARB locker in it the next few hours. So we are all prepped and ready to throw that puppy in. Even though I had to remove a differential skid plate, which was kind of a pain in the ass, the thing down there, it took me about an hour to get this chunk out of the truck, like including everything. It's really not a bad job, and that's why I'm just doing the rear for now. I might do the front eventually. Front's a lot more work. Pro tip, always take this plug out of your drain pan before you put oil in it, or you'll make a huge mess. All right, so the ARB air locker is installed. I'm gonna do a little video pointing out a few things. The only thing I'm waiting for right now is the gear oil, which should be delivered by Amazon any minute now. So here's my little manifold up here. Standard ARB single compressor, but it is the high flow, so you can air up tires with it. So I got my tire chuck mounted right here, a little quick connect, and put a cap on to keep dirt out of it. And that's your relay. So once this thing drops to 70 PSI in this little chamber, the pump kicks on up to 100, it cuts off. Pretty simple. This is the solenoid for the locker. So this hose runs all the way to the back of the truck to the rear diff. Once I add a front locker, there'll be another solenoid right here where this plug is. But for now, I just did the rear. You see there's a bunch of extra hose right here. I wanted some extra hose on board, so if I get a cut, I can put a quick connect and splice it, and I have enough hose to pull and fix it. And if a big chunk of it's tore up, I got an extra 2 feet of hose wrapped around the brake master cylinder there. Doesn't really get in the way. Figured it was a good thing to do. If you come down here, you can see where the line follows the KDSS hoses most of the way around. The only place that doesn't follow them is right down here. I decided to go up over the frame rail. Where is it at? Oh, right here. So I decided to go up over the frame rail with my locker line and not follow the KDSS lines underneath it. It just had a bunch more positions for it to rub on stuff, so I didn't do that. Then it goes behind that little KDSS skid plate and then follows the KDSS lines all the way to the back. Routing this line was the most time-consuming part of the job. I can pull these diffs really fast, but doing a good job routing this line is a pain in the ass. So now it comes up following the KDSS line, comes up to here, you got another zip tie, and then it goes over the frame and follows the brake lines down. I'll show you what that looks like. I've gotten up and down off the ground in this garage 50,000 times today. So then it follows those brake lines down right there and comes onto this little fitting on the third member. And read the instructions for that. Take your time making those connections. They are a little tricky. There's a little crush sleeve in there you have to crush to make it seal on the line, and then there's a banjo fitting. It all needs to be nice and tight. So that's all put together now, and it looks pretty good. This diff was rebuilt by East Coast Gear Supply, and it does have the solid pinion spacer, but it's still good to protect your pinion plan from rocks and stuff. That's the main reason I have this. Out this locker. Open diff. Press the ARB compressor on. It runs for a second to pressurize that line, and bam, locked. And then we press the button again. Unlocked. Man, that works sweet.